نكمل مع بعض يا شباب Corporation Section 2 Part 2 Chapter 2 Corporations Retained Earnings and Dividends. شباب اتفقنا إن ال Stockholders Equity Section composed of paid in capital plus returned earnings. طب يا شباب returned earnings definition represent a company's accumulated undistributed net income or net loss. شباب returned earning is considered part of stockholders equity section. ده معناه يا شباب إن normal balance of returned earning is credit, increase in the credit side, decrease in the debit side. طب يا شباب هو returned earnings يعني إيه؟ الأرباح المحتجزة أو المحتفظ بها. تمام. طب يا شباب أنا عندي main source of retained earnings net income from operations. ده معناه إيه يا شباب؟ in case إني الcompany achieve net profit or net income $100,000 and decided to distribute $10,000 as dividend. In this case, returned earning will be equal $90,000. إيه معنى الكلام ده يا شباب؟ لو الكوربريشن حققت profit or net income 100,000 وقررت إنها تعمل توزيعات أرباح dividend distribution 10,000 يبقى في الكيس دي returned earning equal 100,000 minus 10,000 اللي هي dividend distribution هيديني إيه؟ 90,000. 90,000 دي represent returned earnings الأرباح المحتجزة أو المحتفظ بيها اللي الكوربريشن مش هتوزعها وهتسيبها عندها للسنة الجاية. تمام؟ Returned earnings is affected by several transactions. Net income increase returned earnings لو الكوربريشن حققت profit ده هيحصل عندي increase in returned earnings. Net loss decreases returned earning لو الكوربريشن حققت net loss ده هيسبب ايه؟ reduction in returned earnings. Dividend distributions decrease returned earnings لو الكوربريشن قررت انها تعمل distribution to dividends. This will result in reduction in retained earnings. Certain treasury stocks transactions will result in reduction in returned earning account. Distribution to shareholders. Normally, corporation make distributions to shareholders from its profits at the end of every accounting period. These distributions are called dividends. Dividends are distribution of assets earned by the company to its shareholders. هي توزيعات الأرباح على حاملي الأسهم. Net income is transferred to retained earnings and dividends come out from returned earnings. عشان كده قلنا يا شباب إن net income result in increase in returned earnings account and dividends will result in reduction in returned earning account. Each corporation has its own dividends policy. Some corporations distribute fixed number of dividends each year regardless of the level of achieved profit. يعني في يا شباب corporations تعمل distribution بتوزع fixed number of dividends each year regardless of the level of achieved profit. بغض النظر عن البروفيت اللي اتحققت هي بتوزع fixed number of dividends. Other corporations follow a variable dividends policy. Corporations do not distribute all their profits for several reasons. شباب أنا ليه عندي returned earning account؟ ليه عندي حساب اسمه أرباح محتجزة؟ ليه الكوربريشن ما بتعملش distribution للتوتال net income، تعمل distribution لpart of the net income for several reasons. Number 1, creditors may impose restrictions in their credit agreement to put limits on distributions to shareholders. Number 2, regulations may determine the way profit should be distributed each year. Number 3, corporations keep undistributed income to be able to distribute fixed dividends each year. Number 4, establish reserve to finance future expansion plan or to protect it from possible losses. Types of dividends. There are several types of dividends. طب ايه يا شباب انواع الديفيدنز اللي هي توزيعات الارباح؟ cash dividends, property dividends, liquidating dividends, stock dividends. All types of dividends reduce the total stockholders equity. زي ما اتفقنا يا شباب ال dividend result in reduction in the total stockholders equity because the corporation transfers some of the company's assets except stock dividends, which transfer part of retained earnings to permanent capital without transferring assets to shareholders. In this case, total shareholders' equity remains unchanged. عشان نفهم الكلام ده أكتر يا شباب هناخد problems. Steps followed for dividends distribution regardless of its type. Step 1, declaration of dividends. يعني ايه يا شباب declaration of dividends؟ معناها ان الكوربريشن تعمل declaration تعلن انها هتوزع dividends او هتوزع ارباح. The board of directors announces the distribution of the dividends. Type, who has the right to receive and when. Once it announced, it become a liability to be recorded. يعني شاب once ان الكوربريشن عملت announcement اعلان انها هتعمل distribution للdividends للارباح، هتوزع ارباح السنه دي، it become a liability to be recorded، تعتبر التزام على الكوربريشن should be recorded on the date of declaration. Step 2, recording of each shareholder's share in the corporation. Corporations doesn't know who owns its shares, so they called them for registration. Date of record. شباب on the date of record الكوربريشن يا شباب بتحدد اسماء حاملي الاسهم اللي هم الشير هولدرز اللي هتوزع عليهم الديفيدند السنه دي، فبييجوا يعملوا registration in the corporation on the date of record. Number 3, step 3, date of payment or date of distribution, payments or distribution of dividend. شايف التاريخ اللي الكوربريشن بتوزع فيه الديفيدند، بتوزع فيه الأرباح على الستوك هولدرز. Number 1, accounting for cash dividends. Corporation should have enough cash to meet its cash obligations before declaring cash dividends. ده معناه يا شباب ان الكوربريشن should have enough cash، لازم يكون عندها الكاش الكافي to meet its cash obligations، التزاماتها before declaring cash dividends، قبل ما تعلن عن توزيع الأرباح بشكل كاش. Cash dividends are declared as an amount or a percent of par value. Once cash dividends are declared, the amount is transferred from retained earning account. اتفقنا يا شباب ان once ان الكوربريشن اعلنت عن dividend distribution, dividend comes out from retained earning account. and recorded as a liability until paid to shareholders. نسجلها ك liability التزام على الcorporation until paid to shareholders. For example, on Jan 15, 2020, N corporations declared cash dividends $2.4 per share on registered common stock on Jan 25, 2020, payable February 10. The registered outstanding shares are 100,000 shares. The corporation paid the dividends on payment date. Required, record the declaration and the payment of the dividends. Solution: on the declaration date، في اليوم يا شباب اللي الكوربريشن أعلنت فيه إنها تعمل dividend distribution، عايزة أعمل recording للترانزاكشن. طب يا شباب احنا اتفقنا once cash dividends are declared amount is transferred from returned earning account. طب يا شباب returned earning account normal credit increase in the credit side decrease in the debit side. يبقى في الكيس دي يا شباب ايه اللي هيحصل؟ ال dividends comes out from returned earning، يبقى returned earning account will decrease. عشان كده هنعمل recording returned earning in the debit side. طب يا شباب نعمل recording لل liability، يبقى ال liability of the corporation will increase. يبقى في ال credit side هعمل recording ايه؟ cash dividends payable. تمام؟ هعمل recording يا شباب ازاي؟ $2.4 per share time outstanding shares 100,000 shares equal $240,000. on date of record اتفقنا يا شباب ان ال date of record just ان ال shareholders بيعملوا registration in ال corporation، يبقى no journal entry. on date of payment ال corporation هتعمل payment، هتدفع ال cash dividends، يبقى ال cash will decrease in ال credit side and cash dividends payable will decrease in ال debit side. ال liabilities اللي عليا انا خلاص already دفعت ال dividends اللي عليا، فال liabilities will decrease. ده recording in ال debit side، يبقى debit side cash dividends payable credit side cash $240,000.